Hi, this is my internship project, and this is where I interned at. It's called the Surgery Center of Fairfield County, and this is a picture of it. It's the all-glass building located in Trumbull. Okay, who am I? I'm Gabrielle Fino. I'm a senior at Jonathan Law, and I am attending the University of Rhode Island and the School of Nursing next fall. I am soon to be a certified nursing assistant from the CNA course at Jonathan Law. I am an honor student who has received over a 4.0 all 4 years of high school. I'm also enrolled in the University of Rhode Island's honors program, and I am an employee at the Boys and Girls Club, so I have lots of experience with time management, communication, and responsibility. Okay, where did you intern? I already told you this, but I interned at the Surgery Center of Fairfield County. I'm a CNA there, and I help people with IV care, testing, COVID screening, and making sure everyone has their appointment. I tell people their post-operation care and their pre-operation care. And yeah, recovery room help too. Oh, and operating room. And about SCA, the Surgery Center of Fairfield County is a national surgical solutions provider that is open for the public to improve healthcare and to cater to the people. So this means that we help the people out and make them feel like home. So instead of going to like Yale, New Haven, where you'd stay overnight, this place we don't stay overnight. So it's normally shorter cases, but there was one 12-hour case that I got to watch. So that's cool. And SCA is known as the partner of choice for your surgery, obviously, because most people like to go in and then go home at night, because obviously that's easier for people. And SCA came to Trumbull in 2013, and 60% of the surgeries are performed in an outpatient setting. Okay, site supervisors. My site supervisor is Joyce Kane, and that's her right there, and that's her holding one of the nurses' babies, and they brought him in when I was there, so I also got to hold him. And Miss Joyce is a nurse and a director at the site. Miss Joyce has been working there for many years and has taught me a lot. She taught me about patients and how to place yourself in the patient's shoes to be able to help them. So you basically have to know that everyone is scared too, because nobody wants to be out and have no idea what's going to happen to them. So you have to basically understand them, because sometimes they do shout at you and they yell at you and they ask for so much stuff that you're like, oh my God, that's a lot. But you have to understand that they're scared too. And she also taught me nursing school is important, but learning hands-on is the best learning tool. So my internship really does help me, and it also improves me for colleges clinical, because that's really hard. Okay, why did I choose this site? I chose this site because I want to be a nurse when I get older, and my mother has great experience working there. My mom's a nurse there, and she's in the recovery room, and she's the recovery room manager. So it was fun to kind of see her, because obviously I don't see her nursing. So it's kind of cool to see how she changes. And I think that people who work in ambulatory care settings like the surgery center are important, because people who do one-day care surgery stress and need to take care and have attention like hospitals. Obviously, one-day care surgeries kind of get looked over as like less important surgeries, which technically they're not less important, they're all important, but they are less severe surgeries, some of them. So it's harder to like understand. Sometimes the people, they get really stressed out and you're like, you're gonna be okay, it's a minor surgery. But that's why it's important to have nurses who go there, because you need to be able to talk to them. And surgeries are very important to me because I had surgery when I was younger and I had very great care. I was actually overnight stay, but I think that people who don't have an overnight stay also need just as much care as I had. Okay, what is the business of the site? The business of the site is to perform surgical procedures, effective one-day surgeries to help the patients get better. The staff members need to be compassionate, effective, and tactical and persistent. And this is everyone that works at the facility. Yeah. Okay, my experience prior, I'm a CNA at West River, obviously. That's where our school goes for CNA care. And I work with the elder people to help them get better and work with their lives on a daily basis. We do daily basis tools, meaning like we get them up, we get them ready, we get them dressed, bathed, fed, all that stuff. And I watch my mother take care of people with her traveling nurse job, and I've seen her working at the surgery center and wanted to be able to push myself and impact patients' lives possibly like my mother does. And I saw her over the summer. I used to go there and watch her, so that was kind of cool to like actually see her more in depth. And now that I know what nursing is like from my CNA class, I could observe her. And expectations prior, and this is Dr. Redler. He is one of the doctors at the surgery center, and I got to interview him, and this is a picture of him at his desk. And yes, I thought I was going to not I thought I was not going to be doing hands-on experiences because I am new, but they threw me in and I mixed fast with them and I could learn and excel quick. And I thought there would not be as many patients who did not follow pre-surgical operations. Like, I know one of them, if you have a colonoscopy, I know this kind of sounds a little gross, but you have to clean out, and a lot of patients don't clean out, which is kind of disgusting for the doctors and rude for the staff. But then also you stop your operation, so you have to go through all that practice, all that money, all that medicine to wake up and told you need to come back next week. So gotta follow those. And I thought the patients would understand that nurses are doing their best and people need to respect them, but they don't. I had a lot of people yell at me, tell me no. One time I tried to give a guy a muffin and he threw it at me. So yeah. And responsibilities: wash the stretchers and the chairs, obviously, to discontaminate things, clean the tools and put surgical tools in the right disposals, take COVID tests, report the questions and vitals on a paper log, take vitals, check blood sugar levels, give out pregnancy tests and read the results, care for patients, take care of the patients, and put them in their cars and read the patient's post-operative responsibilities. Okay, and then this is another doctor and another nurse at the place. And accomplishments: I had patients hug me before they left because they wanted to thank me. I had people look for me when they had their second surgery, because most of the people, they'll come back week and then the next week, and then they'll like kind of have a relationship with you, which is nice. And I had nurses tell me that I was a natural, which felt nice, and I was able to go into the operating room for long cases because they thought I was ready. Obviously, the operating room was kind of stressful. My mom's been a nurse for 32 years, and she's never been in the operating room because it's a lot. And then challenges: I had patients yell at me and call me names because I was a younger female. I had the guy who threw the muffin at me did not like me, and I had to take care of people around my age, which that was difficult because obviously when there's people that you don't even know but they're just your age, it's kind of uncomfortable and awkward, but it gets easier with more experience. I had to check people's vitals when they are not their best self, so sometimes they get stressed, they cry, they don't want to give you their arm or their finger, but you kind of have to reassure them that this is going to be the best thing for them. And I have to take corrective criticism and improve to get better, and that was kind of hard because if someone's telling you you're not doing it right, you get sad, but it's just for your own better. How I grew intellectually because I knew the best learning for nurses is hands-on, because you need to demonstrate the skills hands-on. That's why nursing students go to clinical. And I was responsible, and I learned all my actions had a reaction, and the reaction was involving another person. Obviously, when you take care of someone and you tell them you're going to be back in 10 minutes, it feels like 3 hours for them, so you actually have to understand that if you tell them 10 minutes, you have to be back in 10 minutes. And I had to think fast and efficient, which is good skill because nurses need to make decisions fast, obviously. And I had to think about my routine and memorize routine for day-to-day tasks and not to get redirected. How it helped me: the fast thinking will help me make fast decisions. The hands-on experience let me know how to do the skills, and the surgical setting like IVs, pregnancy tests, COVID tests, vitals, etc. help me when I have to take them in the future. I learned how to be compassionate towards patients and manage my stress level and theirs, because I stress too, and learn how to manage teamwork and how to complete a patient's whole stay in a similar to completing a team game. And job offerings: the surgery center said if I was able to pass my CNA test this summer, I would be able to work for them, so that's cool. Okay, that's it. Questions? Yes.
What was one of the more interesting cases you got to see? And you mentioned the operating room, so were you able to see like a really cool surgical procedure?
Yeah, I think the coolest one, which just might sound TMI, is a mommy makeover. So they basically do like more than one thing. So they do like, obviously, like a lot. They just basically, you get to pick 3 things you want. So sometimes people take fat off their thighs, their arms, their stomach, and they do it like that. Okay. Oh, and like when babies come in, it's fun. Okay.
Do you feel like your experience at CNA directly impacted your ability to do what you did at your internship?
Oh, definitely, yes. Because when I started, I was still kind of nervous to touch the people because I didn't want to hurt them. But then after, it got easier the more times I went.
Thank you so much, Gabby.
No problem.
This is my final presentation, introduction. So who am I? I'm Diane Montes, but I also go as Miss Diane there, because there I'm technically like a teacher. I interned at Mom and Cub's Play School, which there they have baby centers, toddler centers, preschool centers, which is where I interned. The ages varied between 6 months and 6-year-old. Maria and her daughter Jody were my site supervisors. They're so nice. When I was first looking for potential internships, I was struggling at first, but I called her daycare one day and she was very happy to help. I now understand while she was helping me, I was also helping her. Extra help is so wonderful, and like the caretaker to child ratio is like 1 to 12, but honestly I should be like 2 to 12. I didn't realize how much help was needed to work with kids. This is Callie. This is hold on, the daughter of Jody and granddaughter of Maria. She mirrors her mother's personality quite a lot. She takes on the role of authority in the classroom, not in a bad way, but she helps us out. She offers to help clean, comforts other kids, and makes sure everyone has a snack. She's very mature for her age, and she's very smart. She is on her way to kindergarten too, which is really sad. This was yesterday when Miss Jojo was trying to make lunch for the kids. Half of them were outside, half of them were inside. And we made an activity for 15 minutes to play with shaving cream, but they only got through the first 5 minutes and they started to like run around. This is Cameron, Winter, Liliana, Allure, Callie, KK, and Liam, who's cut off. But my first day I interned, Liam threw up everywhere, and guess what? To clean it up, I had to clean it up. So yeah, and I told him to sit down, and he wouldn't sit down, so he kept throwing up everywhere. Sorry. Oh, and my first few days, I was pretty much everywhere, and I was at the baby center, and I got to hold a random baby, so that was pretty cool. My site experience. Oh. So what is the business of the site? It's a play school made to take care of kids, but I also believe it's a school to help get them ready for kindergarten. And I think it's very helpful. An example is Lydia. I don't know why the pictures are like that, but she's like a child genius. Like she's like 4 years old, and she would take my phone and I would tell her a sentence and she would type it all out, and she's like 4. Yeah. She's on her way to kindergarten too, which is really sad. Why did you choose this site? What were your expectations prior to the internship? I thought it would be a breeze, and I thought I was good with kids, but it wasn't. I worked babysitting gigs, soccer camps, and I took child development classes throughout high school. I expected the internship to be easy, but I was very much humbled. There's so much left to learn, and my expectations were far off. Explain your responsibilities. My responsibilities, the number one was taking care of the kids and making sure the kids were behaving, playing nice, keeping them in check, making sure they're fed, persuading them to take a nap during nap time. They can't take a nap. It was like the first 30 minutes is when they can't sleep, but after 30 minutes, you know who's going to sleep and who's not. And they're not allowed toys on their cots, because if they're allowed toys, they will play and they won't go to sleep. The second most important thing, along with taking care of the kids, my responsibilities include continuous cleaning. I had to sweep, mop, wipe tables, vacuum, and change butts is what we call it. I had to change a lot of diapers, to wipe a lot of butts. It was really gross. Kids are messy. Discuss your accomplishments. Okay. The accomplishments I've made are the skills that I've acquired and lessons that I've learned. I have adopted important skills that come with working and taking care of kids, such as patience, multitasking, leadership skills, CPR and Heimlich, dominance and confidence. Lesson that I learned is kids are smarter than you think. My first day interning, the kids would ask me questions they knew the answer to. No. An example is they aren't allowed snack if they didn't finish their lunch because that means there's no more room left in their belly for more food. But they would constantly ask me for a snack, and me being new, I didn't know, and I would get in a lot of trouble. So they'd take advantage of you if you're not stern or don't know what you're doing. Describe your challenges and problems. Quite a few challenges came from this, but one big problem was the headaches I'd come home with. I have a past with headaches, and stress just does not mix well in my head. The second one is getting the kids to listen to me. I learned that you have to be headstrong and confident with your words if you want the kids to respect you. If not, they will walk all over you. I learned to put my foot down. The third one is crying. They tend to cry a lot, and they don't know how to deal with their emotions, so I try to redirect their emotions, calm them down, engage eye contact because they like to avoid eye contact, ask them to use their words. Usually they're fighting with another friend, so I try to get them to talk it out and figure out the problem, have them try to solve it themselves. Me personally, I ask them to say sorry, and I ask the other friend to accept the apology. These two. This is Austin, this is Cartier. They're best friends, but also the worst enemies, so they will fight over literally everything and everything. So I try to do my little problem-solving thing with them. Sometimes it works, sometimes they just forget about it and just walk away. And like, okay. My conclusion. How did the internship experience contribute to the intellectual growth and sense of responsibility? My plan was to go to college and study psychology and eventually become a family therapist. What I contributed is handling kids is hard. If I could get better at working and handling kids, it would help me in the future and help further and secure my future career. But I also told myself that nothing is set in stone and I don't have to do it. Explain your immediate future plans. I was offered a job to work at the daycare. I understand extra help is always wanted, but I haven't made a decision yet. Interning here has showed me that the doctor was right and I should not be as stressed out as I am, but I would miss the kids. This is Austin. He's very cute, and he always finds a way onto my lap for some reason, but yeah, looks like an angel, but he's the biggest troublemaker ever. Oh my God. They love to dress me up and put earmuffs on me and hats on me. I'm making the same face over there. Austin. This is the day where Callie brought in a makeup palette. So she thought that the eyeshadow didn't just go on the eyelid, but she thought it looked pretty under the eye too. So everybody in the classroom looked like a raccoon, even myself. Yeah, and it was just awful. This is Cartier. He also has the makeup on him everywhere, and he was a little sad, but he thought he looked cute. This is also Cartier. I thought it was funny how big he was opening his mouth to eat the yogurt. And then this is just me and Austin. And that's it. Thank you.
So my question is, you said you mentioned you took some of the child development classes and things like that here. How did you feel like what you learned in the classroom translated into your internship?
I think it helped a lot, having to deal with kids and how you talk to them is you can't talk down to them because then they'll think that you're being condescending and they won't listen to you. So you have to kind of actually get on their level. I had to bend down a bunch of times, but it helped a lot. Any other questions?
Now you see both sides, so obviously within reason. But now if you want to be a family therapist, do you think now you see the parent side as well?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just working with kids, maybe just a therapist. 18 and up. Nothing else below that because I can't do it. They're so cute.
And were you exhausted every day when you
Yes,
got home?
every day I would get home and I was out.
Yeah.
Out. Yeah.
Okay, you made me drop. Remember I dropped you off there? She's like, this is the worst place I've been.
I was like, I don't want to go. Yeah.
Thanks, Diane.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about what I did with the Milford IT department on my senior internship. Now, my name is Andrew Rosado. I decided to do an internship with an IT department in order to broaden my familiarity with IT as a field, but even furthermore, computer science. Ironically, besides my given interest in computers, I'm actually a pretty outdoorsy person. I like to backpack and ski, and it's likely I enjoy these things for the same reason I do computer science, which is that they all offer limitless opportunities to explore. Now, I did my internship at the Milford Board of Ed's IT department. I worked under the supervision of Danny Petrowski, who is an infrastructure and operations services specialist technician. I would also branch off with other technicians of various other specializations in order to further broaden my experience of IT. Now, looking at my site choice as well as expectations, I mainly chose to work with the Milford IT department on my internship because of my prior experience on the IT help desk here at Law. Through that program, I became very familiar with the procedures and technologies of the Milford IT department, and more importantly, I became familiar with the staff and technicians at the Milford IT department, so we were able to skip the icebreakers and have a pretty seamless transition into the internship. Now, just to give context to what the IT help desk is, as I will mention it multiple times throughout this presentation, it is a pilot program at Jonathan Law that allows students to work with Milford IT technicians in order to gain job training and experience to build their resumes, as well as simultaneously reduce the workload for IT. Now, looking at my responsibilities while on site, I mainly worked on the repair, maintenance, and troubleshooting of interactive displays, which you all might be familiar with. That's things like smartboards, ViewSonics, as well as desktops and Chromebooks. On top of this, I would work on, sorry about the microphone there, I would work on diagnosing Windows and Chrome operating system based issues, as well as attempting to resolve them. And I would work on asset management and deployment in a software called Incident IQ, which is the district's ticketing system. Essentially, that's how people report issues to IT and request their help. Now, looking of the internship, yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing here. Really focusing on the ups of the internship, I would note anything as far as successfully repairing things or coming up with working solutions as an achievement, because IT is a very experience-based field, And so anytime I could create successful solutions to problems, I was both improving my confidence in my IT skills as well as my overall qualifications. I'd say another achievement on this internship was that I got to work and participate in presentations to prospect computer science students about next year's help desk program that will be rolled out at both foreign and law, because as participating in the initial creation of the program, being with it this whole year, it was a pleasure to see action made for its continuation next year. Now, if I had to point out any downs, any challenges in the internship, I would mention dealing with intentional damage of electronics, as it is usually pretty surprising to see. There's no other word to describe it, how creative of ways students come up with to damage electronics. However, I'd even argue then that that's not so much a down, that's more of an improvement in customer service skills and learning to separate work and your responsibilities from what might seem personal. As when a kid proudly tells you he ran over a device with his car, you have to really keep in the back of your mind, okay, my job's to fix this. I'll let the professionals take care of the whole telling him not to run over his devices in the future. Now, looking at my skill developments while doing the internship, obviously it's redundant but appropriate. I've greatly improved my IT skills, but I would also say I've improved my soft skills. I mean, my knowledge and understanding has been both broadened and improved with IT as a field, and that's even impacted my personal life, as I've been able to start projects under the guidance of technicians to do things like building a server in my own house, which has improved my family's efficiency of electronic use and data storage, and that was all because I was introduced to concepts of networks and servers and their scalability. And additionally, on top of that, having to work with ambiguous complaints, unknown issues, situations where people don't know what's broken, that's been a strong improvement to both customer service skills and troubleshooting. Now, looking at the impacts this internship will have on my future, the big focus would be secondary education. Most importantly, by being exposed to so many avenues of IT, which is such an expansive field, it helped to solidify my choice of major in college of computer science by being exposed to everything, knowing I'm not missing out, understanding what I prefer to work on. And on top of this, I will now have a stark advantage over my peers in college when applying to future internships, as I now have professional exposure and qualifications for IT. Additionally, most schools and even most corporate settings have programs like the help desk at law, which on top of my professional experience with the IT department for Milford through my internship, I'm confident I could acquire a job at any of these help desks at either my college, or if I want to wedge my way into a corporate space, that is an avenue for that. You could start on their help desk and then work your way from there. And finally, I hope I didn't just break that, my apologies. Looking at my immediate plans after the conclusion of the internship, first thing would be to consider transitioning into a paid internship with the Milford IT department. And in addition to this, I will continue to pursue educating myself on all the new avenues of IT I've been exposed to. As with my experience at university with computer science approaching, it's important that I continue to familiarize myself on these subjects. They're all going to correspond and be part of what I'll be educated on in the future, and to expose myself to that stuff prior to September, that will just be advantageous to me. Now we've reached the point in the presentation that's allotted for questions. I was told about a pop quiz.
I'm going to start you off with the pop quiz. Normally someone else would ask this,
Excellent.
but what does RAM stand for?
To quickly move over it, for the sake of everyone in the room, and actually this ties right back into how you can be introduced to new concepts and have things explained better while working with these technicians. I've had it explained to me that the way RAM works is it's like a desk for a computer to use to put stuff as it's working on so they can multitask. Simplest way to explain it to someone who has no interest in knowing what RAM is, but that also helps us understand it, and that was something a technician here taught me. So glad that's a perfect time to re-implement that. Random access memory.
Yeah, you fast.
I'm actually relieved to know that was the pop quiz. Question?
So a lot of people at the Milford Board of Ed technicians all have like different specialities. Did you learn about any of them, and did you find any one of them like an interest where you're like, oh, I think that's the path I might want to take?
Yeah, so I think I found both networking and cybersecurity to be very interesting, but it's also just little things you pick up along the way. Really, everything in IT has something interesting about it, you know, so there's more things that it would be smart for me to be proficient in relative to what I plan to study at university, but there's also things where working with things like audio and video might play into my personal life if there's other things I want to mess around with. So I'd say it's a hard choice to decide which I like. You know, there's too many options. But another question.
How was it
watching
like
the time.
working at working in doing the internship with someone you had worked at the help desk with all year?
I guess it's beneficial to be familiar with your coworkers, right? Skip the icebreaker process. And I think it is efficient for the program to have that kind of cyclical integration from the help desk through the capstone, through the internship, because I think that just helps with students being able to work with each other. So I'd argue there's benefits to that, certainly inside of the program. Yes.
So how beneficial was actually being part of the help desk in the transition to, the internship?
I think that's a great question, and probably the best way to put that would be that the help desk exposes you to everything, and then on the internship, you learn to almost autonomously complete those tasks. So all the different exposures to operating systems, softwares, hardware, the help desk will give you an idea of what you're going to do, but then at the internship, you showed us how to do it, So that exposure is definitely important. That's good for letting kids figure out whether or not they'd want to fully commit to something like doing the internship. But yeah, there was a good transition, especially familiarity of the Chromebooks. That's a very prevalent thing we work on. But
I have a question. I just wanted to commend you and really your whole program, and I think that you've been like an inaugural member of like the help desk idea, and now this kind of partnership as an internship. And I'll tell on myself a little bit, but I had a student teacher, and I kept getting these emails from IT saying I had to set up my laptop, and I ignored them all, quite honestly. And I was down with Blair one day, and not because I wanted to, I just thought I'd already done it, and I thought I was on the list by mistake, but I was down in Blair's office one day, and my student teacher sends me this text message, and he's like, there's a guy here from IT. I was like, oh my God, they caught me. So I snug out the bag, I went to my car where my Chromebook was, I get it, I walk into my room with my head down, because I think I'm really getting in trouble, and it's Andrew. And I was like, you're the guy from IT? And he's like, yes, I'm here to set up, and I looked at my student teacher, I was like, no, he's a student. And he's like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I thought it was somebody from downtown. And I said, no, that's fine. And then he set up my computer for me so professionally, and anytime I needed anything, you were always there. And so I think just to commend you on your professionalism and how impactful you were. I know at law this year, and for people who had issues from the help desk and now seeing your internship presentation, it's just a really nice culminating experience, I think, for you, from starting at the help desk here to really now immersing yourself, and your professionalism seamlessly. It was very appreciated, and you should be really proud of yourself. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I agree.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
One
My
more
student teacher thought you were a full-blown employee.
That's good news to me. I'll keep working that.
Yeah.
So are we doing okay for time?
Here's my last question.
Okay.
All right. So on the topic of professionalism, how did you feel when the principal thought you were a worker of IT?
Yeah, there's multiple stories with that. I mean, it's a compliment at the end of the day, right? If you're aiming to participate in a professional setting and try to emulate that corporate behavior, at the end of the day, it's good to get that feedback, I guess. So I'll certainly take that as a compliment if that's the question, especially to fool Darcy, because I almost thought that was a prank. I wish I really pulled that out further, because that was his first week here. We could have all convinced him. You would have never known.
Great job, Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, here's my internship with Matt the Bat. Hello, I am Maura Staples. I'll be attending Sacred Heart University in the fall, and while I'm undecided for my major, I hope to study English and perhaps creative writing or journalism. Where did I intern? I did a remote internship from my living room with YouTuber Matt the Bat of the, pardon my French, the Bat Shit Shit Show. This is a weekly animated talk show on YouTube where Matt does interviews and deep dives with a wide variety of his favorite creators. It's not your conventional internship. This is my site supervisor. My site supervisor was Matt the Bat himself, Mr. Matt Ty. He is a Jonathan Law alumni. He graduated from Pace University in 2018, where he studied film and screen, as well as English, with a minor in creative writing. Matt currently works as an associate writer and producer at Nickelodeon, where he has worked for 5 years. He started there as an internship himself, so he understood how aggravating and time-consuming the tasks that he was giving me. So, a little slop of roles there. Why did I choose this site? I chose to work with Matt the Bat not only because of Matt's obvious connections into the film and media industries, but also because I wanted to see what one potential career could look like for me. Matt studied something that I'm planning on studying at Sacred Heart University, and this was just a little gateway, a little step into that life. Matt clearly has a unique job that allows him full creative liberty of what he's doing. If you talk to Miss Sylvia or Miss Ramo, you would know that that's something that's really important to me moving on to post-secondary life. I really just want to put my personality into what I do, and this is 100% him. You can see here, it's a cartoon set. He does all this work. He may not get as much recognition as he should for it, but if you look into his comment sections in his videos, everyone is giving him praise after praise because no one recognizes how much time and effort that he puts into this, and it's really inspiring. He also has achieved great success in a highly competitive field, which has been very helpful to observe. He's a producer and writer at Nickelodeon. Like, how many people can say that? A day in the life. So, as I did an internship with a YouTuber, I thought I might as well give it a shot. So here was my first day of work with Matt the Bat, and it's just going to show you what life looked like for me from my living room.
Gotta hit the play button.
Oh, plot twist.
All right, here's day one of my senior internship with Matt the Bat. Today I started off my day by watching some of Matt's videos and trying to think of some ideas for future videos with him. And there he is, the man behind the bat, Mr. Matt Ty. Today, Matt was having me watch these bat chats, which are his interview videos. In these videos, Matt interviews other content creators, YouTubers, and just creative individuals like himself, and tries to get to know them better for his viewers. My job was to create YouTube chapters. These are certain timestamps throughout his videos where he and his interviewee change subject or have something important that viewers would directly want to go to in the video. Before today, I had no idea that these even existed, and they were quite time-consuming to do. A video that was 20 minutes took me at least an hour to do. But I can definitely see how they'd be helpful.
Alrighty, day in the life. Next, I'm going to go into some of the tasks and different jobs that he had me do. Aha, got it. Like I said in the last video, I was working with YouTube chapters. Just to reiterate, YouTube chapters break up a video into sections and act as a shortcut to certain moments in a video. These would be different changes in discussion or important topics that a viewer might want to go when he's interviewing someone. Our main form of communication was text message and email. So when he would give me a task, I would then email it. So these are two examples of the different YouTube chapters that I did. Like I mentioned in the video, these are such time-consuming and tedious tasks. So this video says the outro started at 34:32. So that video is probably 35 minutes long, and it took me close to 2 hours to do. You have to pay attention the entire time, and as you can see from here, the topics can change within a matter of seconds or within a matter of minutes. A lot of what I did with Matt wasn't as creative as I thought it would be, but I took my own little moments in order to do so. So when I would make my own little chapter, I'd give it a fun little name. For example, in this Christina Reed interview, to go off for a little bit, Christina Reed, at the time he interviewed her, they had known each other prior, they're friends, and she worked for Latina magazine. She was a writer. But today, she writes for Vogue. Pretty cool. And at one point in the video, 10:06, she was talking about her life story and what actions and choices she had made to get to where she was. She called it her villain origin story. So that, I gave a little title to the chapter there. Next, as I also mentioned in the videos, he has Bat Chats. So Bat Chats is a segment on Matt's show where he invites his friends and fellow creators onto his show for an interview. All of these people he has some kind of connection to. He is a master networker, and that's one of the major things I took away from this experience. As a part of my research, I would research the guests that Matt has lined up for the show, so I would find their social media links to their different platforms, different facts and statistics. I would find their most viewed videos, so the most popular videos, general content, whether it was run-on jokes, different content that they would republish and they would give a little twist to every time. I would find past interviews because Matt wanted to give his own unique spin and own narrative of each person. He wanted to tell their story, so we didn't want to replicate what they'd already been asked. And then my favorite part of this process was writing possible questions. So as someone who's looking forward and looking into doing journalism work or creative writing, I really took this part to heart. He never asked me to do it, but I always thought that with the research that I had done, I would write possible questions for each interviewee, just so that he would have ideas of what he could ask them himself. Here are some examples of the different Bat Chat individuals, guests that I researched. Joe Ando Hirsch and Neem Atkins, they're a TikTok couple. Each respectively have over 1 million followers. They're both actors. Neve is also a model, and Joe is actually a student of fashion. So he will make clothing for her to model. They're fun, cute videos. Also, Ryan Leader, he goes by Ryan the Leader. He's a YouTuber, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with David Dobrik in the Vlog Squad, but he has made many videos with them that he's actually close friends with Matt. Then there's Nicole Burr, who had a viral moment back in 2008, a little before my time, but she's been continuously making content for the past 13 years. She sings songs, she does covers, she writes her own music, and she discusses hate comments and bullying. She also has a mild form of high-functioning autism, so her platform is just this really positive space that Matt also likes to encapsulate. And then finally, my favorite, this is Frank Watkinson. He's this old man from the UK who started singing songs with his guitar, and what's special about what he does is he lowers the tempo and lowers the tone of the voice, tone of the song, in order to give them this more mournful and heartbreaking sound. He's really sweet. What's great about his platform is that he's created this community. If you scroll through his comments, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're like my grandpa, it's so sweet. So yeah, I really liked watching his videos. Then finally, we have just some random miscellaneous tasks. For example, I did an extensive research on the history of the iPod. So I made a 6-page document with pictures of every different model, what updates they had for the iPods. Matt's brain is so creative that when he heard that they were going to discontinue the iPod, he decided he was going to do an homage to the iPod video. I don't know how much he'll use the research that I did, but I'm hoping that it will spark some creativity for him. I also was asked to make a calendar of all the pop culture and entertainment events that are going to be going on in the month of June and end of May. So I put that there, but you can't really see it because I didn't want to make it too big. But I really just went into like different movies with their release dates, television series and streaming platforms, music and tours that they were going to be going on, and just other news like the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial. A lot of this came from TikTok. TikTok came as like a very reliable source because I just found what people would be excited about, what people would want to watch. I was also asked for another segment of his show. He does Seaside Chats, where I would find clips from TV shows, movies, random GIFs, I'm not really sure what the word is. Nice, thank you. And they would act as B-roll for the video. So as a broadcast student, I figured out what B-roll was, and so these clips would play as the person was sharing their anonymous story. That's where you get the Dwight to the Schrute as Meredith Palmer. One person shared a story where they were having a trippy day, and they thought they saw someone that was Meredith Palmer from The Office. That was my favorite day. I got to be really creative and do my own sense of humor into it. And then finally, I had to find lo-fi or lo-fi music. When he texted me at 9 o'clock in the morning telling me to find some of it for his channel, I was real confused. But I figured it out, and I found a bunch of non-copyright versions to compile together. It's really just this kind of like white noise music that people can play while they're studying. This was not at all what I expected. Well, if you had asked me what I was doing as my internship in the beginning, I don't think I'd be able to get through it without laughing. I really just thought of this as a way to get out of AP Calc, and it was just, I thought it was going to be really strange, but it ended up being really wonderfully weird, and I had a lot of fun with it. My expectation, I expected to be doing a lot more of video production and creative brainstorming than I actually did. I expected Matt to send me hours and hours of like footage from his interviews that I would have to compile together to make a cohesive video. Thank goodness he didn't. That would be a lot of time-consuming, tedious tasks, but I did other ones, behind-the-scenes work. In reality, I did more journalistic type work rather than creative writing, which was unexpected, but I really enjoyed it, seeing as though it's something I'm looking to pursue in post-secondary world. What were my accomplishments? The most rewarding part of this experience came from not only the gratitude and appreciation from Matt, but also seeing tangible results of my work. For example, Matt, he works his 9 to 5 at Nickelodeon, and then he works directly into this. If he has to do all of those time codings and all the work that I did, that takes hours, and it puts him behind on what he actually can love to do and make those creative videos that he can put out into the world. He actually texted me one day, "I feel the most ahead and I've ever felt. It's a weird feeling. It's really making a difference, so thank you." I would receive those kinds of messages after every single thing I would send to him. The amount of gratitude and just appraisal I received from him really helped me. He always kept telling me I was doing a great job, and he kept pushing me to do more work and do better. Besides the appraisal and validation that I love, I also got to work on my journalistic abilities. So I got to do research, and I got to come up with discussion questions for an interview. As a broadcast and a humanities student, I had done this for my research papers, but I got to use that experience here. What were my challenges? My major challenges were communication and a lack of structure. As a student, I have classes every day, I have assignments, I got due dates. With this, I really didn't. He just told me, get it done when you can. So I had to find my own schedule and make sure I got the assignments done. Communication. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but Matt lives in Texas. So my internship was from my living room. So our main modes of communication were texting and email. We went on Zoom once. So for example, on May 13th at 8:30 in the morning, I got a text saying, "Hey, I'm going to send you some stuff around 9:30, 10 o'clock for us to work on." I said, "Sounds great." Then at 10:30, a little after he said, he asked me if I wanted to hop on Zoom. That was the only day we hopped on Zoom, but that's just the kind of interactions we would have. Here's an example of a really in-depth assignment he gave me. The hard part is that some days he would give me these nice specific things he wanted. Other times it'd be a blanket statement, and I had to really just run with it. It's hard because he's not right there. I can't just go into the room next to me and ask him a question. So I really just had to figure it out on my own. And then finally, life happens. One day I received radio silence from him. Then I received this picture. His tire exploded on the highway. So that day was a little challenging, but we figured it out and I got the work done. How will this internship help me in the future? I developed a lot of skills that will prove useful to me. I got time management. Like I said, I had to make my own schedule, create my own structure. Communication. In a post-COVID world, a lot of communication is going to be online, and I had to deal with that struggle, and I overcame it. Networking. As I've shown in this presentation, Matt knows everyone. He knows so many people that are all looking to help push him in his career and further his success. So I really just learned how important it is to network and to be that person who's reaching out and making these connections. I also learned those journalistic abilities like constructing insightful questions and doing research. And then finally, I really developed my critical and creative thinking. So when I was coming up with video ideas, when I was creating those questions that people would want to listen to and engage in. What are my immediate plans for the future? For now, I will wrap up my time at Jonathan Law High School and spend my summer working both as a lifeguard and professional ice cream scooper at the Walnut Beach Creamery, and spending time with my family and friends before college. I will attend Sacred Heart University in the fall, major in English with a minor in either creative writing or journalism. I will also study as a member of the Thomas More Honors Program, and I will also be a member of the Claudia Dancers at Sacred Heart University. While I have ruled out a career in being an influencer and YouTuber, I liked the journalistic aspect of researching guests, and I enjoyed thinking of fun content for Matt's show. It really just solidified my belief and excitement for the next step in my education. Thank you. Are there any questions? Gavin.
Did you ever find out why he chose a bat?
I'm thinking it was just a rhyme, but you know, he's a creative individual. It really fits his personality. He's a great guy and a fun guy to work with. So I really just, it fits. It works.
So with COVID restrictions being lessened and, you know, the return of actual internships, how did it feel personally for you that you still had to do a remote internship?
Everyone was going off to all these places, going to different schools, going to nursing sites. I was in my living room. I got my pajamas on every day. It was a blast from the not so distant past. It was definitely weird, but I mean, a lot of people, that was one of my struggles when trying to find an internship. So many people are working from home. They're not going into a building, and they're not allowing people to come into internship, especially in this industry. So even just getting to have this experience was enough.
2 questions.
Alrighty.
First, you had to catalog all of his episodes.
Not all of them, just the ones he hadn't done. So I think there were at least 6, somewhere between 6 and 10 videos that I was watching, and I did those YouTube chapters for.
So what's the weirdest thing that you came across in one of his videos?
The weirdest school-appropriate thing that I witnessed in his videos.
I don't think Miss Burns said the word school.
Oh! Well, it is the batshit shit show. Got him there. One guy, as the part of the Seasides chats that I alluded to, the same story with the Meredith Palmer reference. It was about a guy who consumed a lot of materials, illicit materials, and ended up locked in his room for a week. And he drove himself a little cuckoo, and he ended up in a mental institute. And that's where he saw Meredith Palmer. So it really his story about all the crazy things he saw when he was trippy. So yeah, that one was weird and fun.
And the second is from Matt. I sent him a picture of you presenting. And
Yay!
He just said, make sure she tells them all to subscribe, which you did.
Subscribe, everybody.
And then he said, oh my God, Kelsey, she was so awesome. Tell her I feel more ahead than I've ever felt, and it really helped my workflow having her. She's very detail-oriented, and it was an amazing experience for me as well. So that's, and to answer your question, Gab, in high school, everyone called him Matt the Bat. So
Look at that. Long time coming.
For our friend who just took it with him into his YouTube career.
Yeah.
So
He's such a cool dude. Like, the stories that he's told me are insane. Another thing about his networking, when he lived in New York City before he did Texas, he's still been working with Nickelodeon the whole time. His roommate in New York City was the guy who did the cue cards for SNL.
cool.
That's so cool.
Nice
My
try.
goodness. Thank
So-
you.
Really good.
So with his internship, did it spark your interest more with the technology? Because I think this is really where the big intersection comes in, especially dealing with YouTube chapters and like SEO and metadata and all that. And now that you're also going to school for journalism, did that like help more say that, like pretty much like what skills did you say you want to now enhance on to broaden your horizon?
A lot of it was dealing with like the media aspect of his job. I am not great with technology, so a lot of this was a little tricky. But I did do a lot of Google searching on what things meant and what I could do, and I just definitely broadened my horizons. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna go more into that TV production side, but it was definitely an experience that I'll be able to appreciate, especially in the age of scrolling through TikTok. All these people have to do all this work. I struggled with that one little video I did. Took me a while, but yeah, it just a new appreciation for everything.
So I chose to do my internship on business management. This is my introduction. My name is Lucia Pino. I'm planning on attending Bryant University as a biology major, but I'm minoring in business management. I chose to do my internship at Milford Indoor Tennis. It's right across the street on Bridgeport Ave. My site supervisor is Frank Lorenzetti. He's the owner, director, and coach at Indoor, and he's a PTR professional and PBTA professional 1 certified. This basically means he's certified to coach on court, and he's done all the certification for it. He played Division I tennis at Eastern Michigan and even got into some pro playing and was ranked 13 nationally in platform tennis. My experience. So why I chose this site, I obviously had previous background in tennis as I played it my whole life, and I grew up constantly playing at Indoor. And I honestly really wanted a new perspective. I'm going to a business school with a science major, and I'm being required to minor in a business, so I wanted to get a background on how management really worked. When I would just walk into the club, I'd go right down the court. I'd only see what coaching was like, and I wanted to see what behind the scenes was entailed and what it took. My expectations were very off from what I actually had to do. I thought I was just gonna pretty much be an extra desk staff. I've subbed in the past for it, and I thought I would just have to answer phone calls and kind of learn the scheduling and how the computer system worked. And this is our phones, one of the desks I worked in when I was on the computer, and behind the desk. So what I actually had to do, I was in charge of in-club marketing. So here's one of the posters. I didn't personally make it, but I would work with the billboards and hanging the different promotions for what we had to offer that week. And I also worked in data mining. I would take pools of data on our membership program. We use a system called Racket Desk, and it's basically the court sheet for the day, what we have scheduled, who's playing, what coaches are on the court at that time. And I would go into the system, and I worked with the juniors, so that's like 13 and under, and I would go in and I'd make sure all their birthdays were correct. I'd make sure all their payments were in set. And going back to the marketing, these are 2 of our billboards we have at the club, and this one we pick a junior of the month, a person who's been excelling in the tennis classes, and we kind of honor them and put their picture up. And also this billboard shows each month we have a shot of the week or a topic of the month that we work on with the junior kids. And the billboard's there to kind of get them to catch their eye, so we give them a prize of some sort when they come down the court, and they tell the coaches, like, oh, this is today's shot of the week, or here's what we're working on today. And we kind of just want them looking at the boards to help them and to help us. And when you walk right in, we have a promotional TV, and it's what we're trying to promote. So right now we're promoting our summer camp. I was also allowed to be a substitute coach. I had a small previous coaching experience kind of with the 4 and unders. I worked a lot with the kids, but during the day it's mostly adults, and we run a point play drill. So it's 4 people on a court at a time. If you win the point, you come to net, and you have to win 3 points at the net. The adults really like it. I personally also like playing it. It's really fun, it's competitive, and it's easy to learn. I was also inventory merchandise organization. So I worked in the shop, the small shop we have. I organized our inventory. I did a lot of folding. And this is our strings we have. I took check of what we needed to stock, what we needed to order, what we have in stock, and I did the same with the rackets, grips, and all of that. And I was also in charge of summer camp programming and phone calls. I have worked the summer camps in the past, so I know what it entails, what a kid's day would be like. So I would call back customers who are interested and kind of give them a lowdown of what their kid would be doing, how much experience they had, and I signed them up if they were interested. last, I was in charge of court organization and court cleaning. This was definitely my most challenging and least favorite part of my internship. I spent a lot of time doing this, and it's very time consuming. So we have 5 courts at indoor, and they're all separated by curtains. So this machine here, I would have to open up all 5 curtains, and I'd start at the very back, and I'd slowly push the machine up and back, both sides, to pick up all the ball fuzz. I did not realize how often this had to be done, but I spent a lot of time on that. And then also behind the curtains is where we keep and store all the balls. We have 4 different kinds of balls for each level and age, and it gets all mixed up very quickly. So I would take all the balls out, make sure they're all the right kind, so nothing was mixed up. And yeah, and my conclusion. What this internship has taught me, it's taught me an extreme amount of communication. I do get a little social anxious talking to customers, and even on the phone, I hate answering the phone, but I'm very comfortable now with everything and how much experience I got. Organization, I learned an extreme amount of organization skills, cleaning the courts, even just behind the desk with papers and stacks of papers, just making sure everything had a place. I learned that my boss is not the most organized person, so me being there to organize everything and kind of make sure everything was in line was definitely worth my time. And I also learned a tremendous amount of management skills, and I felt that I see what it takes now behind the scenes, what goes on behind the desk, working with our manager, and how everything goes down. It was definitely a helpful experience because I can get future jobs in the tennis community as well as on-court experience. With coaching, I learned how to be a better coach, positive attitude, all that sort of stuff. And it helps me manage my own business as well as any other jobs I may receive. I can show them that I have management history and know how to stay organized. And it looks good on my resume. I now have experience in management for future jobs. And my future plans after the internship is over, I'm going to be hired as a camp counselor at Milford Indoor for this summer. That's it.
Can you see yourself running a facility like this in 20 years?
Possibly, but I don't think I'll end up going down with tennis. But if I did, I'd be okay with it. But I never realized like how much time it really takes, and making sure you have a coach on every court. Everything has to be scheduled like to the hour, and it was definitely way harder than I expected it to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. You talked about you potential left. You just talk about some of your qualifications. Did you play in high school, or did you? How did you that prepare you for your internship?
Well, as you may know, I do play tennis, so I definitely have a lot of experience like on the court, and even just coaching, or if someone calls with 0 experience, what they need to bring to that. We have intro classes. A lot of people call and ask what they need to bring, what to wear. I have quick answers for that, and just being able to like answer on the spot with the background I had was definitely helpful.
So do you think if you went to, let's say, a different high school and had a different high school coach, you may have been better prepared for this job than just, college in general? No, real question. We did a lot of organizational stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Merchandise, organizing, the courts you said were tough.
Mm-hmm.
So did this transfer over into your house at home? Like, are you more organized now?
Kind of. I try to be as organized as possible, but I get busy. But my least favorite part was cleaning the courts, and you would have to just do one at a time. And if someone was playing on the other court, you'd have to wait till they were done and go back. And I kind of make myself do everything in the moment, so I don't have to go back to it now. Like, I just organize it in that way.
How often, you said like you had to do it more than you figured. How often did you have to do it?
I had to do like twice a week. Yeah. It's horrible, but it's like mowing a lawn. Like, you can't miss. You can see when you miss a line, so you have to like I didn't realize how dirty courts could get. It was not. That was not fun, that part.
So your supervisor Frank, right?
Uh-huh.
Was he your coach?
He's my coach, yeah,
So
or
how
one
is
of my
that now
coaches.
being on the other side, right? You know, working with him, seeing he's not as organized as you thought he maybe
Yeah,
was.
he's not organized at all. It's like even just behind the desk, like in one of the pictures, you could probably see it's like a little messy and stuff. Like he would just have me fold shirts that we sell, or like reorganize rackets because they're out of place. Like it's just simple stuff that wasn't being taken care of, and I kind of was given the job of it, and I had fun because like I got to see everything done once I did it. But it was aggravating because I'd leave for like aqua in the afternoon, and I'd come back the next morning and everything was messed up again, and I'd have to start all over. So, yeah, it was fun.
Would you say you've had other coaches that are more organized, perhaps, than Frank?
I'd say Frank is my most organized
Okay.
coach.
And two, my question is, you worked with like the kids at camp,
Mhm.
and then now because you were there during the day, you got to work with adults. What would you say is like the biggest difference between working with like the kids and then the adults?
So kids are easier. The respect level is like the little kids are like this big. They see you could hit a tennis ball and they think you're like the coolest person in the world. The adults, like, it's tough. One bad feed, they're like, what is that? Like, that's not, they get mad. Like, I've done one of the point play drills I was talking about. I do one in Fairfield over the summer with one of my other coaches, and the group of people is very rough, and they want it exactly the way they want it, and if it's not perfect, I've had a lady hit a ball at me once, like, she's good enough where she can aim, so she wound up and just like, and I literally just went like ducked out of the way. So there's definitely challenges with it, but I like both adults and working with the kids. So thank you.
Okay, hi, my name is Maya. This is my final presentation for my internship. I'm a current senior at Jonathan Law High School. In the fall, I will be attending Clark University, which is in Worcester, Massachusetts. I plan to major in math and minor in education and Spanish with the intention of completing a master's degree in education. I spent my internship at North Haven High School and West Shore Middle School. So for the first 2 weeks of my internship, I was at North Haven, and I completed about 60 hours there. And for the next 2 weeks, until the 15th actually, I will be at West Shore, where I'll complete, again, about 60 hours. These were my site supervisors. So at North Haven, it was Dr. Russell Dalai, who is a very nice man. He was very welcoming, very friendly. He was very accommodating. Anything that I needed at all, he was very willing to help, and it was very nice of him. And then I have Mr. Kenneth Hayes and Mrs. Jennifer Danini. Mr. Hayes is the vice principal there, and I went to West Shore, so I'm familiar with Mr. Hayes. And then Mrs. Danini is the math coach at West Shore now, but in 7th grade, she was actually my math teacher, so that was nice to see her again. Why did I choose this site? So North Haven was not my first choice. I was struggling to find which high school I wanted to do. So at first I wanted to do Laurelton High School, but they could only give me about 18 hours. And then I wanted to go to Bunnell, but they weren't letting their visitors in due to the COVID policies. So I settled on North Haven with Mr. Darcy connecting me with Dr. Dalai. Which was nice. And then West Shore was the choice for me because I went to West Shore, I knew the people there, it was a great place, and I really wanted to go back. I specifically chose teaching because I wanted to deepen my knowledge and understanding of the education system, because I've always known that I wanted to be a teacher, but I've only seen it from the student's perspective, so I felt like going into a school would be really beneficial to what I wanted to do. I plan to pursue a career as a high school math teacher, but I'll be certified for about 6 through 12, so I feel like with the help of Ms. Burns and Ms. Sylvia, they kind of steered me towards doing a high school and a middle school to see both sides. My expectations prior to the internship, I sort of expected it to be like a student teaching experience, like helping students with their work and making copies and doing all that stuff. I thought I was going to be observing, like sitting in the back of a classroom like some student teachers do, and just taking notes and then getting up and helping the students. I didn't really go into it expecting to do any like standing up in front of the class and like actually teaching, because I'm still a student myself. I felt like it would be a little weird and a little challenging. The business of the site, I pulled the mission statements off of both of the websites. I'm not gonna read through them because they're a little long, but they both stressed the support of the education of the students and making school feel like a safe place and equality, and that's something that really resonates with me. It's something that I've always felt pretty strongly about, and I just really, my time in both West Shore and North Haven, I feel like I've learned a lot and I've gained a lot of experience, and they both feel like really great places to be. Everybody was so nice to me in North Haven, and I felt so scared going in because it's 25 minutes away. I knew absolutely nobody there, so it was nice to have that kind of environment. So my responsibilities, the first thing before I go any further about the pictures, because it's in a school, I wasn't very comfortable taking pictures with like the students. So I took like pictures of my desk, like where I sat and stuff like that, just to get something in there. So I kind of acted as an aide to the teacher. In this picture is Mr. Cornelius. He was one of the teachers that I observed at North Haven. I was with him for his geometry class. I made copies for him. I walked around and I helped the students, and I like helped with the tests and everything. I was also just a resource for students to use. Like when the teachers would introduce me at the beginning of the class, the first time I was there, they would say that I'm an intern, I'm here to learn and observe, and I've been through pretty much all the math you could go through in high school, so if they needed any help, I was great because it's a new perspective, not as a teacher. And then another responsibility I had was to observe the classroom environment. So there's a lot more that actually goes into teaching than I think students see, because in North Haven specifically, a lot that I had to do was watch how the teacher would redirect the classes specifically, like how to handle behavior and how to handle like getting back on track with the lessons. That's something that I picked up on. My accomplishments, I learned a lot of classroom management strategies. At the high school, I specifically asked to be paired with freshmen and sophomores just so I would feel a little more comfortable, not around people as close to my age. We're still very close, but it was just a little better. So when I was paired with freshmen and sophomores, I was also paired in a lot of level 2, level 3 classes. Like I would go from level 2 to an applied algebra level 3 class. And it was different for me because as a student myself, I'd never been in one of the like lower classes. I've always been honors, AP. So I never really got to see the other side of how different it was. And it was a lot more relationship focused and redirecting the behavior and making sure that the students themselves felt a lot more comfortable than anything else. Like they stressed feeling comfortable over just learning the material, which I thought was nice to see. Like specifically, one teacher for the applied algebra, Miss Hardy, the first class that I observed, she had actually baked brownies for her class and brought them in because they had done such a good job in class, and they really appreciated it. It was nice to see. They all were so excited that they got to eat brownies during class. I've obtained resources for future teaching, which I'm going to get into in the next few slides. I overcame some fears of interaction because I felt like students closer to my age, I feel like that's what I struggle more with. Not so much adults, I feel a little more comfortable with that. It's just the awkwardness of being around students. So being at this internship, specifically at the high school, it helped me a lot feel more comfortable being able to help students my age and actually be able to do something. I learned more about my future career because, again, as a student, I've never really seen the professional part of teaching. I've always, the teacher's giving me homework, tests, blah, 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 but I've never seen, like, how they specifically handle behavior, how they plan, how they interact with the other teachers around them. So I learned a lot about that, which is something that I really needed to know. And I did get to help students with their learning. At North Haven, I was more so walking around the class, making sure that they were doing their work. If they had any questions, they'd stop me as I walked by. But at West Shore, specifically, I've been able to one-on-one tutor students. Like yesterday, I was able to help 2 different students to finish a quiz. Today, I helped someone go through a worksheet on surface area and volume, which was nice. So I'm getting to work a lot with students, a lot more than I thought I was going to, which is really nice. Okay, so these are some materials that I pulled from North Haven. One of the teachers that I was with, Miss Dower, she was very nice, and she offered to share some of her work with me. So this is from their composition notebooks. So they have the interactive notebooks where they print out the notes and then you can fold them and write in them and then you stick it in the composition notebook and it's like a resource for you to use. So she gave me some of these. These are surface area and volume. I did a lot of surface area and volume over the past 3 weeks. And then the link, this is the actual slideshow that she gave me to use. So these are just some of the things that the students themselves would have. They'd go through and do all of this. And I thought it was nice because with Miss Dower, I was with the lower level classes, level 2, level 3. And the students they were really responsive to this, more so than the advanced kids. I remember doing this in my freshman year science class. We used the notebooks, and I, as an honor student, I hated it. I really did. It was so tedious, and I felt it felt so boring because I knew everything already. But this definitely helped the lower level kids. And after observing how much help that they actually need, it makes a lot more sense. So I think that this was a really good idea, especially in math, because there's so much that you need to know. Oh, shoot.
Hit the slideshow button.
Where?
It's a slideshow.
Oh, yeah. Technology, yeah. Okay. And then these were from the applied algebra class. So the thing about the applied algebra was that it's different than just the lower level algebra, because in the lower level algebra, they cover less and they go slower. But in the applied algebra, the way that they explained it to me was that it's half of the algebra curriculum and they meet every other day. So in the highest algebra that you can go, they meet every day. They go through all of the curriculum. The lower you go into the lower levels, it's they don't meet every day, but they still kind of go through all the material. But applied algebra, the material's cut in half because the kids have to take their time and go through it, make sure they understand it. So they did the x values and the y values and working on slope and then systems of equations. And this was a mini quiz. It was on video games. It was really straightforward. Reading it, I was surprised reading it as an honor student. And I feel bad saying it, but it felt like it was too low for me, which was really weird to see. Because these were kids that were just 2 years younger than me, but I've been doing more advanced stuff for as long as I can remember. And so this one was on video games, there was one on fast food sandwiches, and then there was one all the way in the corner. It was on slope about growing plants. And that was just something that I really thought was nice to see. It was a really good learning experience for me because as a teacher, I never really consider the fact that I'd be teaching the kids who were having trouble learning, the kids with 504s and IEPs that I would have to struggle with. And I think it was just a really eye-opening experience for me in general, because I feel like now I'm seeing all the different parts that I never really considered. Some of my challenges or problems, there wasn't much teaching that I could do. It's the end of the year. Kids are really not into doing any sort of work whatsoever. I'm coming from another school, so I'm still a student myself, and I feel like at the high school it was very much the kids didn't respect me as like someone there to help them. I was still just like another teenager there. It's a little different at the middle school. I do get a little more respect. The students call me Miss S over there. I just didn't get addressed at the high school, it's fine. I don't have much teaching experience at all also, and I'm sure like another student coming in, you can't really expect them to like lead your class. But I still, when I had the opportunity to like go around and help the kids, I was very much appreciative of that. I felt like I did a lot. I also had the anxiety of being around students my age, afraid of them not taking me seriously. More so at the high school, again, because I'm only like 2 years older than them. So there's not, it's just another teenager. At the middle school, the kids are a lot nicer, I guess. They're really responsive to the help. They really want the help, which I think is a lot nicer than the high schoolers. The days did get repetitive because, as I said, there wasn't much like teaching I could do. So at North Haven, a lot of my time was spent observing classroom management strategies, how to deal with the kids, like lesson planning. But there's only so much that you can write about in 2 weeks, especially when you're seeing the same people over and over again. And then overcoming shyness. I'm definitely a very shy person around people I don't know, even more with kids. So I feel like that was definitely a challenge that I've had to work with. I feel like I'm getting better. I do feel like I've improved over my time. I'm talking to a lot more students, a lot more teachers, but that was something that I really had to work on. Skills developed, time management, 100%, because I see all the teachers running around with lesson plans that aren't finished and things that they need to grade, and it's definitely made me think about how I've got to spend my time, which is definitely helpful. Technology, with the digital notebooks, everything that like teachers have, a lot of it's online now. They use a lot of resources online, like spreadsheets and all of that. Desmos. I recently learned what Blookit was, which is kind of like a Hoot. I had absolutely no idea what it was, but it's like they're using it day to day, so that was nice. Communication, specifically with like the students, and it also ties into the social awareness. There's a lot that you don't know about the students, and like I feel like as a student myself, my classmates, they're just people that I go and I learn with. But with teachers, you really have to consider everything else about them. Like you have to consider what's going on at home, how are they going to respond to this, how do they do with testing, are they doing their homework? I feel like there's so much going on, and just sitting down with them and having those conversations, those tough conversations, I feel like that was something that I learned is really important. And the communication part, having good relationships with them, that definitely makes them a lot more comfortable and willing to learn. Like at North Haven, I learned a lot about relationships at North Haven. Every math teacher that I went to seemed to have amazing relationships with each and every one of the kids. Like they just knew like what the kids needed, and that was something that I really learned at North Haven. How will this help me in the future? References, I feel like this is going to be a really big help, because Dr. Dalai at North Haven mentioned that if I ever wanted to be on a hiring committee, to just reach out, because they have like students and other people that go and observe like teachers giving demo lessons. And he mentioned to me that if I ever wanted to be part of that, I definitely was welcome to. And on my last day at North Haven, he told me that if I ever needed any resources or if I ever wanted to student teach, to just give him a call. And that was very nice of him. It definitely solidified my career choice. I've never really reconsidered teaching, and if I did, it wasn't for very good reasons. But after doing my time at North Haven and at West Shore, I definitely feel like I want to help students learn, and that's something that I really, really want to do. Like, even though I wasn't on the fence about it before, teaching is definitely what I want to do now. Experience, I feel like going into college, I know that I'm going to have to student teach when I go. So I feel like getting these hours now and showing that I'm capable and willing to do it, I feel like that's definitely going to help me, and it'll prepare me a lot more so I'm not as shy around students in college. But now I'm considering which level I want to teach. Before I went into this, I was very set on high school. I didn't want anything to do with middle school because I know how middle schoolers are. I just was not having it. But after the middle schoolers, they're so much more willing to receive help, and they want help a lot more than the high schoolers do. And that part of it is what's causing me to have a conflict about where I want to go. Like, I like how independent the high schoolers can be, but at the same time, the middle schoolers just, they want the help, which is definitely a conflict. No, I didn't. Okay. My immediate future plans, I'm going to be studying math and education in the fall. I'm actually picking out my courses now, which is nice. There are a lot of math clubs and a lot of education opportunities at Clark University, and I'm definitely excited about that. I plan to get really involved in all of that. Performing personal research for a future career, I still, even after my internship, I feel like there's a lot I need to know about teaching. So I definitely will be looking into a lot of that. Just over the summer, I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my summer, and yeah, and I'm getting excited for college in the fall. Any questions?
So I don't know if it's a question, but it may lead into a question. But you brought up so many great points in this little experience about what's important with being a teacher. You sound like a veteran teacher, and I'm not joking. You were talking about, what you really saw, the behind the scenes, the getting along with other teachers, the planning, the classroom management, how important that is, what's going on at home. I mean, that's, it's not just teaching your subject area, what I mean, and building relationships, all those things. I mean, that's big, and I don't want you to get discouraged with the high school, because I am a big teach high school, not middle school. But I think the situation you walked into is, gives me anxiety, like as a high school student walking into a high school to help high school kids. I mean, that's not easy.
Yeah.
So I think it's different if you're older and when you're student teaching and becoming a teacher. I really do. But I don't know, I thought you had a great experience. I feel like I don't know really what you knew before, but you brought up a lot of great points.
Thank you. Yeah, the thing about high school is that I know that the kids are older. They understand a lot more. So I feel like the relationship part of that would be a lot easier than middle school, but it's just their willingness to want to help. Like, I really want to help kids. That's my main goal. I want to help kids enjoy learning as much as I do and enjoy math as much as I do. And I feel like high school is a little, but I think a lot of it might have to do with me being a high schooler. Yeah.
I will follow the rules and ask a question. It's obvious that you want to be a teacher and you learned a lot from it, but why math?
Math, it's just, I've always enjoyed math. I've never been, I like all subjects really. I love learning, I really do. It's just that I really like the struggle that comes with math. Like, by no means am I a math genius, absolutely not. It's just that I like taking the time and working through all the problems. And I love how at the end of the day, there's always one solution. There's like one answer that you're probably going to come to. And you can go off so many paths. Like, one simple mistake can cost you the entire problem. And then you've got to start all over. Like, it's like a big puzzle. And it's just always been math for me. I like the equation part. I like solving it. It's so widespread. I mean, you pretty much need math for everything. And math has always just been something that I've enjoyed doing. I'm not great at it, but I like math. So I feel like if I'm going to teach, I should probably want to teach something that I have a passion for and that I like.
You mentioned classroom management in some of what you were talking about.
Yes.
Did you happen to tap into or notice a technique that a teacher used that you thought was really interesting, or something you might take with you when you teach?
Something that I really picked up on that a lot of the teachers did was that they were very strict when they were redirecting, and I know that's kind of like an obvious answer, but every other time they would talk to the kids, they were nice, they were friendly. It was like they were just having a normal conversation with them. Like, they would joke around and they would laugh. But when the kids started to go off the rails, the voices get louder, you get a lot more stern, and they kind of had to repeat themselves, but the kids really listened, like, when that happened. Like, as soon as the voice picked up, like, that's when the kids started to listen. And there wasn't really one specific thing that I could pick out. It's just that I feel like there was a lot of respect between the students and the teachers around every class that I went to, and I feel like that really helped. So I feel like when the students knew, like, when they needed to stop fooling around, which I thought that was really nice. That was something that I really liked.
So in the accelerated geometry class, what did you think? It's like a level 3 or lower level students only getting half the curriculum. You know, what was, you know, just as an outsider, right, coming in, not experiencing that yourself, what were you thinking? What were you?
It was definitely a weird experience. So at West Shore, I'm actually observing some Algebra 1 classes there. So they're reviewing for the final right now. I think they take the final on Monday. And they're going over like systems of equations really in depth and domain and range and all of this stuff. But the kids at North Haven, like when I left them, they were just starting substitution for systems of equations, which is something that I think you learn like middle of the year maybe. And I just remember thinking that they're going to be so behind, specifically because algebra is like the foundation of pretty much everything. You kind of need algebra for everything. And it's just, I think that the kids, they really needed it though, because they definitely weren't the kind of kids that would be able to like sit through a regular algebra class. It's just so weird to see because, like I said, I've never been in like one of the lower classes. Like I've always been advanced math. I've always been do more math than most kids your age. So seeing that was definitely an eye-opener for me. Yeah.
So now that you've seen both sides,
okay,
what's the one thing you're excited to change?
I think I'm excited to change. It's not really changing, it's more continuing. I want to help the students feel comfortable in school because I know that I'm a very anxious person when it comes to going out around people I don't know. And I feel like being comfortable, it would help a lot more students actually want to learn. And I feel like education's so important and, you know, the world would be such a better place if people would just enjoy the education that they have. And I feel like getting the students comfortable, that's a big part. And if you can just get them comfortable, they'll be much more willing to learn and then everything will just kind of work out that way. So that's just something that I want to continue. I want to be able to like help that out. Yeah.
Now that you've been on the other side, is there anything you've ever done from kindergarten through 12th grade that you would like to apologize to a teacher for at this point?
Yeah, I think so. There was actually a kind of a funny story. In one of the algebra classes at North Haven, there was this one kid who was so smart. Like, he knew what he was doing. And when the teacher would ask the class, like, what's the answer to this one, he'd just call it out. And, you know, he was one of those kids where he knew the answer and he'd make sure you knew that he knew the answer. I feel like sometimes I might have been that student. And seeing that was a little frustrating. So that would be something I'd want to apologize for. Yeah. There are more. Yeah, but
good example.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to end all of our presentations because welcome to the 40-year struggle of making kids feel comfortable and just wanting to learn.
Great job, Maya.
Thank you.